Have you ever wondered about the Garden of Eden? You all know the story. A perfect paradise, a forbidden fruit, a single mistake that changed everything. But what if it's more than that? What if the story of the fall isn't just about a mistake, but about the most profound choice humanity ever made? Let's journey back to the beginning, not just to see what was lost, but to understand what was found. Imagine a place untouched by time, a world painted in colors we can only dream of. This was Eden, a garden where life bloomed in perfect harmony. Rivers of crystal clear water flowed through lands of pure gold. Every tree was beautiful to the eye and good for food. The air hummed with a gentle peace, and there was no sickness, no sorrow, no death. In the heart of this paradise lived the first man and woman, Adam and Eve. They walked with God in the cool of the day, living in a state of pure innocence, their relationship with their Creator unbroken and complete. They were given dominion over this perfect world, tasked with caring for it. Everything was provided for them. It was more than just a place. It was a state of being, a perfect communion between God, humanity, and nature. In this boundless paradise, there was only one rule, a single, simple prohibition. God told Adam, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die." Think about that. In a world of infinite yes, there was only one no. It wasn't a trap, it was a choice. A choice that gave their obedience meaning, a choice that made their freedom real. Without the option to choose otherwise, would their love and devotion truly be their own? This single tree stood as a symbol of their free will, a testament to the trust God placed in them. Then, something new entered the garden, a voice that wasn't God's. The serpent, described as more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made, approached Eve. It didn't start with a command or a threat, but with a question, a subtle seed of doubt. Did God really say, "You must not eat from any tree in the garden"? It was a clever twist, Eve corrected him, explaining they could eat from the other trees, but not the one in the middle of the garden, lest they die. And that's when the serpent laid its trap. "You will not certainly die," it hissed. "For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened. You will be like God, knowing good and evil." The temptation wasn't just about a piece of fruit. It was a promise of enlightenment, a whisper that God was holding something back, that there was a higher level of existence they were being denied. This was the moment that would echo through eternity. Eve looked at the tree. The fruit was beautiful. It looked delicious, and most of all, the serpent's promise lingered. It was desirable for gaining wisdom. The internal conflict must have been immense. It's a perfect trust she had in her Creator versus this alluring promise of self-empowerment. And she made a choice. She took the fruit and ate it. The act itself was simple, but its significance was world-altering. Then, she gave some to her husband Adam, who was with her, and he ate it too. He wasn't deceived in the same way, but he chose to follow her. In that moment, they both exercised their free will, choosing their own judgment over God's command. They chose to know. And then, their eyes were opened. But it wasn't the divine enlightenment they were promised. It's the first thing they saw was each other, and for the first time, they felt shame. They realized they were naked. The pure innocence that had clothed them was gone, replaced by a raw vulnerability. Fear, an emotion they had never known, crept into their hearts. They frantically gathered fig leaves and stitched them together to cover themselves. A futile attempt to hide their newfound self-awareness and shame from each other, and ultimately from God. The perfect harmony was shattered. The world was the same, but they were different. They now knew good because they had just lost it. And they now knew evil because they had just chosen it. The sound of God walking in the garden, once a source of joy, now sparked terror. Adam and Eve hid themselves among the trees. The Creator called out, "Where are you?" It wasn't a question of location. God knew where they were. It was a question of relationship, an invitation to confess. But instead of confession came excuses. Adam, when confronted, blamed Eve. "The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it." He not only blamed his wife, but implicitly questioned God's wisdom in giving her to him. Then God turned to Eve, and she blamed the serpent. "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." In that moment of confrontation, instead of turning toward God, they turned on each other. and the cycle of blame and brokenness began. The consequences were swift and severe. This was not an act of petty revenge, but the natural outcome of their choice. The serpent was cursed. Eve was told her pain in childbirth would be greatly increased, and her desire would be for her husband, and he would rule over her. Adam, who had listened to his wife over God, was told the ground was now cursed because of him. He would have to work it with painful toil and sweat all the days of his life, and eventually return to the dust from which he was made. The promise of death was fulfilled, not instantly in a physical sense, but in a spiritual one. Their perfect communion with God was broken. Then came the final heartbreaking consequence. They were expelled from the Garden of Eden, and angels with a flaming sword were placed at the entrance to guard the way to the tree of life. The gates of paradise closed behind them. It was a moment of profound loss, the end of the world as they knew it. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, this is where our story truly begins. The expulsion from Eden, the fall of humanity, wasn't just an ending. It was the start of a new, more complex chapter. It marked the beginning of the human journey defined by choice, struggle, hardship, and pain. But also a journey of discovery, of art, of innovation, of love, and of a relentless search for redemption. In the very moment of judgment, a glimmer of hope was given, a promise that one day, the offspring of the woman would crush the serpent's head. This story isn't a tragedy about what we lost. It's an epic about the human condition. It teaches us about the weight of our choices and the reality of consequences. But more importantly, it sets the stage for a greater story of grace, a story of a God who doesn't abandon his creation, but pursues them, making a way back to him, not to a garden, but to a relationship restored. The fall was not the final word. It was the first step on the long road home, a testament to the enduring promise of a new beginning. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.